Tonight, your headlines from Philadelphia. Construction starts today on a new park and ride at the edge of Few Haven after the mayor makes a commitment to invest in public transit. Thousands of schoolchildren have been left stranded for hours after a new bus timetable came into effect, causing absolute mayhem. And finally, in traffic news, a crash on Spruce Street has caused a backup in both directions. Motorists are advised to avoid the area. Stay tuned for more and hit that thumbs up to keep up with the latest. Hello everybody and welcome back to Philadelphia, where today we are finally going to completely rework our bus transit routes across the northern suburbs of Philadelphia. As of course we've kind of almost finished this area. I say almost, there's still a few things we need to do. But the main infrastructure is in, so it is time to come through and do that. And if we take a little look at the bus routes that we have at the moment, so we have bus stops, of course, across the main part of Few Haven here and going up through the UK farms over this side and just about into Gaudy Bay. Yes, we do have buses running into Gaudy Bay, but nothing, of course, across to Atkinson, the golf club, the vineyard, things like that over there. And also, actually, FewCandy is also missing bus connections. So at the moment, the residents have to walk across this bridge and out to the farms to get on a bus. So we need to rework that. And I also want to completely redo the routes as well, so that it's a bit more efficient. It's kind of difficult to see at the moment, but we do have 4 lines in, I think. So we've got this black route, which runs from Few Haven Centre out through this suburb over here, or the suburb of Few Haven, and out through this area, and this one goes on up to the farms that side. We then also have the school bus route, which runs across the top of town down into Gaudy Bay, and then we have this green route which just runs from the top here into the centre of Few Haven, and that's it. And then we do also have the ferry connect route, even though the ferry terminal is yet to function. It's turned off at the moment, but we do have that in as a placeholder as well. So I'm going to delete all of those lines and we're going to redo it. And with that, we're actually going to incorporate an idea from Martin Hune many episodes ago, who suggested that we could put a park and ride out in this area. Obviously, it's quite appropriate for it. We've got the main highway here, so it can easy access into the park and ride and then straight on down into Few Haven. So that's the first thing that we're going to do, is add that park and ride in. And then I think the main plan is we'll have a route which is almost like a tourist route from this park and ride, assuming it's people coming from outside of the city, which is going to run down the centre of Few Haven into the bus stop here. It's then going to go up round Hoskins Castle and then out through Atkinson and stop close to the vineyard and finally finishing up at the golf club up there. I did wonder if maybe we should go around the Gaudy Bay, but I feel like that's too loopy for that, so we're going to skip that part, but it is going to cross through the main bus hub in the centre of Few Haven, and that'll be the main park and ride line. Then we're going to have another one which kind of follows the black line that we have already, coming from FewCandy down through the farms, through this suburb, but then actually instead of coming down into this side, which will be a little bit serviced from the park and ride line, we're going to go straight down this road, straight into the centre of Few Haven. Then we're going to cross down close to the harbour, out through Gaudy Bay, and then through the hillsides of Atkinson down into the town centre. So that's going to be the longest route that takes people right from FewCandy right through to Atkinson. And then we're going to have one more line which is going to connect this area up via the back streets to Few Haven Terminal, and then is going to go out to the cruise terminal, which I think is the most important thing. And you know what, the school line, I think we might keep that in. If we have a little look at usage at the moment, the school line is getting a ton of use, so I'm kind of content to leave that as is. The black line we're going to change slightly, and then we're going to completely delete this green line, which is really doing nothing and getting no use, and also of course the Few Haven Harbour Shuttle, which again is getting 0 usage. Unsurprising, because that ferry terminal is non-operative at the moment. So I think this line with the highest usage we're definitely going to keep in, which is the Paul Raymond School bus line, which does just go from this suburb through to the school and down to Gaudy Bay. I think we don't need to touch that. We don't need to extend it. We're going to have coverage for Atkinson, which can meet up to this line as well, so they can change buses onto the school bus route if they need to. But I think that's all good. We've actually also, as well, if we look at buses, we've got, 5 vehicles on this line? One of them is completely, actually 2 of them are completely full. And we do have some stops where there's quite a few, 349 passengers waiting. Oh my goodness. So I do feel like having the new routes in are potentially going to help that as well, maybe ease a little bit of the congestion on this line. The other thing we might need to do as well, which we're going to look at later once we've got all the lines in, is how many buses we actually have per route as well. So we may need to up the Paul Raymond school bus line. In fact, the usage has actually dropped, but I was going to say clearly it's getting a lot of use, so maybe we need a few more buses there. But we're going to kick off by building our park and ride, but just before we do that, a quick word from today's video sponsor, which is Instant Gaming. If you're perhaps looking to pick up the Urban Promenades Content Creator Pack, or indeed Modern Architecture, or even the baseline Cities Skylines II, in fact any game of your choice, including Farming Simulator, Civilization 7, the whole Sims shebang, and of course Planet Zoo and all of its corresponding DLCs, please do use my link in the description of this video to go and see what amazing discounts they do have. And we also have a monthly giveaway, which is again linked in the description below, where you can win a game of your choice courtesy of Instant Gaming. So go and bag yourself a deal, check out the link, and also help to support the channel. So this is the space over here that we're going to use because it actually is relatively flat to start off with. We're going to help that out just by making it a tinsy tiny bit flatter on this space, particularly here. And we can smooth off some of the edges when we come to it, but we want to have quite a nice largish car park, as well as obviously the bus stop and the facilities that are needed for a park and ride over here too. And in terms of actual access, I'm actually going to come off this highway slip road here, which I know is probably not going to please a lot of you, but this is not a very busy exit, and it shouldn't really be a particularly busy exit at all, because there's going to be another one here. The main one that's going to take all of the downtown traffic is going to be here, which is going to have an extensive highway network going obviously off into the downtown. And of course we've also got our big intersection for Few Haven over here. So this is really quite a local intersection, just another point of access for mainly the industry over this side, so I'm kind of not too worried. And unfortunately, I also don't think we're going to get a massive amount of usage in our park and ride, but time will tell, time will tell. So we're going to float in like this, and then this road can come up straight here, I think. And then we're going to have the bus stops over this side, we'll have parking over here. And so the buses, we're then going to send off down into Few Haven down this side. So I think this house here, we're going to have to get rid of. So unfortunately for the, a kind of appropriate, the Mullins family, that couldn't actually be more perfect. Sort of like city planners calling a mulligan, but there we go. We're going to remove your house. Apologies, just made you homeless. Terribly, terribly, terribly sorry. We'll be adding some new housing in very soon, so hopefully you can find a nice place to stay then. But we're going to have a bus road that is going to come up here, like that. And we're going to make this dedicated bus only. So let's upgrade this here. And I also want to get rid of the parking from this too. So we're going to use our road tools here just to remove that. So it is bus only coming in and out of the complex. And then we're going to have a bit of a one-way system here. So the buses are going to come in to round about there. And then they're going to come straight across. In fact, let's move some of this terrain a little bit better here. We'll tidy that up later. The bus is going to come straight across this way, around a bend, and then come back this side to join up like that. Now that is very, very messy indeed, so let's tidy this up. Something like that will do quite nicely there, I think. And we're going to keep this road network separate from this one. So we're obviously going to have pedestrian access across from here from the car parks that are going to come out this side, but we are going to keep it wholly separate. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to upgrade this road here. Let's turn off snapping so that we can angle it a little bit better so that people can come in like this. And that could almost be disabled parking or something that's a little bit closer to the bus stops there. And then we're going to come into quite an expansive car parking network this side. So we're going to have some that are flipping up that way, others that are flipping down this way, and we'll keep going along like this, leaving a small space in between each of them. And we can leave some larger gaps here because that could be a potential walkway where pedestrians can kind of flow up from the bottom. So we could do 3. Let's leave another larger gap there and then have this one sort of similar gap to what we had previously. And I've just realised that's got rid of all of the spaces on the other side of the road. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm thinking something along those lines so they can get out nice and easily. Just realising as well, though, that this does need to be a double road, so we're going to scratch that. We're going to actually upgrade this to an alleyway road all the way along like such, and then we can add our own car parking onto the end. This bit can, of course, be one way up this section, and in fact, let's turn off snapping there, and then we can get the lanes nicely aligned. Now, I don't know why some of the car parking spaces haven't come in quite evenly, but we can of course add decals and add our own to even that all up, so we will be doing that when we come to detail it up. But that gives us car parking, and then because we've done this on normal roads rather than just placing in a simple bus road, we can then come on and use our North American bus stop shelters. Yeah, so I'm actually going to add in 2 over here. We only need 1, but aesthetically wise, kind of fun to have 2. So we can have that like so. And then here we're going to want some sort of commercial building to act as maybe a cafe or a restaurant or somewhere that people could wait. And now we do have access to the US Southwest pack as well, which has some really lovely little commercial assets in it. So let's go through and see if we can find one of these that might work really nicely here. And in fact, actually, even our arts and drafts bar would be kind of cool here. Food and drinks, it's got a little outside cafe. That works pretty perfectly. So where we've got the larger gaps here where the pedestrians are going to walk up through to the bus area, let's put this next to it, facing onto this road here. And then we'll see if we can find something else that looks a little bit more generic that we could use as a toilet block. And that one will work quite nicely there, I think. So that just gives us some nice access here. Now they're both having connection troubles, and I've realised of course we have a section of highway here, so that'll be what is driving that. So let's just connect in our power and our sewage underneath the ground. So I'm going to hit page down with our power lines and we can connect that in like so. Now that should be okay now. Yes, everyone's happy. Wonderful. Now I'm not too sure about this asset actually, because I'm not too keen on the fence backing onto the back of it here. I feel like we maybe need a different orientation. So I'm actually thinking let's grab this one. Let's shift this around sideways like so. And then we can have it something like this. We can grab a small alleyway road up here just to connect it in. And then that sits a little bit better in terms of a walkway up towards where the buses are coming in. And then with this one as well, we can shift this over so it's now sort of in the centre where the pedestrian walkway is going to be here. And then of course here as well. That sort of sits a little bit more nicely in the centre. So a lot of detailing to do around here, but we'll come back to that a little bit later on because I do want to get on to reworking the bus lines. But before I do that, let's just smooth this out. There we go. So first things first, let's go in and delete all of our bus lines, apart from the school one, of course. So let's make sure we're not going to delete that by mistake. But yes, we'll delete this. We'll delete the Few Haven 1 line and the Few Haven Harbour Shuttle. And this is down to 52% usage actually, so that seems to fluctuate quite a bit. I mean, it is the middle of the night now, so maybe that is something to do with that. I'm not sure what the time was when we looked earlier. I may look back in the video to see, but there we go. I am actually going to pause it as well, just so we don't cause total chaos when it comes to reworking this. So let's firstly talk about the line that is going to run from the Park and Ride through Few Haven, round the back of Hoskins Castle, down into Atkinson and up round the Country Club. So we've obviously got the Park and Ride stop here, and these residents here can actually walk there, so I don't think we necessarily need another stop around this area, or too close at least. So I'm thinking maybe where we've got some houses here, let's have a stop on the main road right about here. And that is going to cause some issues because the buses are going to turn in there. The node is actually really, really short. So what we could do with Move It is just shift this along just a little bit to make that bus stop a little bit longer, and then we might have to do a bit of playing around here to make the roads go in nicely again. And somewhat in a good way as well, we've actually revealed the trees underneath the road, so let's go ahead and get rid of them so they're not impacting our performance in the long run. So now, yeah, when we put in our bus stops, we're going to get a much more reasonably sized bus stop area on this node rather than that really short one, which means buses are going to queue up and block traffic in the main road. This is going to be much more efficient, I think, here. So yeah, we'll have a stop there. And then I think we'll probably have another stop near this industrial site here. So we've actually got these green borders. We could use that as the node. Otherwise, this is going to be almost the entire length of that road, which I don't really like either. It looks unrealistically long. So there we go. We'll have the bus stops there. Okay, they're not perfectly parallel, but that's fine. And then, yes, it is going to run up this high street. So we probably get rid, or we probably won't stop at this point, but then we will stop here, into the bus station. And then I think from Octagon Park's point of view, they can walk into the park from this direction. So we're going to go round the outside of Hoskins Castle here now. So let's have a little stop over here. And that is a long one, but it's not too bad, I suppose. And then we're going to have another stop over here by the garden centre and by the entrance to Hoskins Castle, I think, would be good for this. But again, like, this node is way too long, so I'm thinking I'm actually going to trick it a little bit. So we're going to change all of it to concrete. Then I'm going to re-put in this node here. Then I'm going to change this side to grass, so it now does think it's a different segment. And then if we come back and take off the concrete from this side, then we can put in the bus stop so that they are actually going out into the bus stop and not stopping and blocking traffic there. Now if we remove that node, we have got our shorter little bus stop there, so that works quite nicely. Quite long-winded, but there we go. And now what we're going to do is head up into Atkinson via this road here. So I think having one by the shopping centre here would be quite appropriate. So maybe on this segment. So let's grab that, and then let's also get rid of the concrete side here again so that we've got that indented bus stop rather than them stopping in the middle of the traffic there. And we don't really need to stop anywhere in the middle here, so we'll come up and stop outside the leisure centre right here. And the way that I like to do all of my bus stops, as you will notice by this, is forwards and backwards rather than circular loops. I feel like it's just a bit more realistic from at least my experience of using buses. And then as well, we don't have to put in a clockwise and an anti-clockwise style route. We can just do one bus route that's going to cover both directions on this journey. And then I think we've got the elementary school here, so it'd be quite appropriate to have a bus stop right outside of that. So we'll do that there. And then we're going to come down into Atkinson Town Centre. So I'm thinking we'll do one here, because then that's not too far of a distance to walk from the train station if they wanted to get from the train station onto the bus to get up maybe to the golf course, for example. And then we can just go ahead again and remove that concrete border. So we've got an indent there again. And now I think we will have one more stop at the bottom of the hill here. We won't put it directly outside that rich person's house. We'll just put that slightly down the bottom. Then I'm actually just going to move to the bus stop signs, and we'll have a little one over here and a little one here. Again, we've got that issue with the node here. So what I am going to do is create ourselves a fake node like that. Then I'm going to come in and put concrete borders on this segment here. Now, it looks a little bit funky, but I think once we delete that, it sort of frames the bus stop okay. It's not too bad. I think we'll have to make do with that. And then finally we're going to come up and have one stop somewhere in the golf club. So I'm thinking they'll probably turn around possibly down there. So let's have the bus stop on the golf club side right there. Okay, so now we can go ahead and put in that route. Now we've got that in, and that is going to be the tourist line. So let's go ahead and name it while we're at it so we know which one's which, and we're going to change the colour of it. Let's go for a green bus here. We'll call it Pewhaven Park and Ride. Let's also change this away from a CO bus to a regular bus. We don't actually have the electric plug-in to the bus depot at the moment, so we'll just keep it like that. And I'm going to raise the ticket up a bit to... In fact, actually, do you know what? We're going to keep it at $8, I don't think, or 8 cents. I don't think we need to go too OTT on that. 15 vehicles is definitely too much, in my opinion. So let's lower that down to 8. And again, we'll see at the end of the episode how these lines are all doing and if we need to adjust any of that. So we'll come back to that point. But let's go on to the next line now. And that's going to be the one running right out from FewCandy. So we do need to put in some bus stops into here somewhere. And I'm just going to use the little bus stop signs. I think that's going to work perfectly fine for this. I'm just thinking, where is the best place for a bus to turn around here? I mean, it's probably going to be round this way, so let's try and make sure that they actually do that. So let's add in a small stop, which is going to block traffic as well. There's not much we can do about it. I guess that's kind of realistic to a small UK town such as this one. We'll have a stop there, and then we'll have another stop. Let's do one on this direction and one on this direction over here, because then that'll serve a few more of the houses, I think, by going both ways. So someone could actually get the bus from out here into UK town centre. Not that it's a particularly long walk, but that could happen. And then, okay, so we're going down here. We've got these stops in the farm. That's absolutely fine. We've got these stops. We're going to follow that old black line route here. So that's not a problem there. And then we're going to come down this way. So we have got stops here and here and here. And then we'll come into the bus station. Yes, that's fine. And then we're going to come out and follow this road here. So we need a few more stops in this direction. And then we are still going to have the harbour connected in through the third line that we're going to put in. So I don't think we need to do anything with that now. So I think let's stop here so it's nice and close to the park and also serves these residents around the harbour area. So let's do that. And again, we're going to need to come into here and remove the extra concrete from the median just so we get those indented bus stops there. Going to be much, much better for traffic flow in the long run. And then we're going to come down this way into Gaudy Bay. So where is the best place for bus stops here? Now that takes up the whole street. So I'm actually going to default to this little location. So we'll put the bus stop at the edge of this car parking spaces, because hopefully cars wouldn't drive over that. Then we can put one in the middle on the other side of the road. And then I'm going to come down onto the waterfront. Now, I don't really want to put bus stops here, because I really like the little parking road that we've got going on. So we'll maybe leave it as this one. We can then utilise this stop that's already in existence here. And then we could come out this way and come up round the hill. Yeah, we're not serving the college overly well here, which is a slight concern. So we may have to think about that with the third line that goes in. But I think we will have a stop at this point here. And it's not too far to walk round to the college if necessary, if people need to. And then I think we're going to follow this road and come up this way. So that's kind of close enough for them. We could stop on the actual hillside here, or we could come up to the top at this point. I think let's come up here, but again, we're going to use signs for this rather than the actual big bus stops, because that's a slightly more rural location in there. And then I think we're going to come down this street and maybe do a loop around Atkinson here. So let's have another little stop on the end here. One down in the middle at this point. Then we'll have bus stops outside the station, which I definitely think would be appropriate here. And we could actually even stop in that same stop as well. It's very, very close though. Although actually, just thinking about it, we're doing a loop round here, aren't we? So we don't need this one on the side of the road. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. We can have one there. We could stop again in there. Maybe it's a little bit close. In fact, do you know what? I'm actually going to delete this station stop, and I think having one here and one here is close enough because they can really just walk straight out and into the station through that end anyway. We also don't need that one on that side of the road because we are going to loop around that way. Yeah, so maybe one more over here. Let's have that on the park side there, and again, just for traffic easing, let's get rid of that concrete wide pavement so that we can have the indent for the actual bus stop there. Okay, so that does that line. Let's go ahead and get it in. There we go. So we don't actually need to use any waypoints from what I've seen so far. It feels like they're going round appropriate roads to get round the actual route that we want. Although here, that feels maybe a little bit odd to come back on themselves. I'm wondering if we should add in a stop potentially for Oregon Point, although it feels quite far away up here and I'm not sure I really want to divert it into ultimately what is one commercial unit in our car park there. So I think we'll leave that for the moment. So that's now serving Atkinson nicely, and then we have the final extra line that we want to put in, which is going to come from this district here, through the back road. So yeah, we're going to make use of these stops that we've already got in here. That's no problem. Again, here, yes, we can come into the main bus stop this way, and then we're going to go out to the harbour with that line. So it's just going to cross through the back streets, essentially, of Fewhaven and into the harbour. And then I'm just checking as well, this yellow line that we have here does come through all of those other stops that we have. Yes, it does. So I don't think we actually need to remove any stops apart from this one right here, which I can't see us making use of. So let's go ahead and remove those, and hopefully that's not going to completely screw up that road. I do want to change this median a little bit because I definitely don't want parking at this close to quite a major junction. So yeah, let's make those concrete wide pavements here. And then I think that's it. So let's get in the final line and then we'll take a little look at what we've got. So I'm going to make the harbour line blue, and we're going to call this Fewhaven Local Harbour Shuttle, even though that's probably not what it is. Let's press play as well, then we can see it all in action. And then this one is going to be Few Hay to Atkinson. We'll call this Fewhaven to Harbour. That seems a little bit more appropriate there. Okay, and then we do definitely want to change. Okay, that's already on bus. Check FewK to Atkinson is also on a bus. Okay, that's good. And then FewK to Atkinson's, we've got 18 vehicles. That's way too many. Way too many. Let's go down to 12 and we'll see how that does. I'm keen to see how it operates over rush hour as well. We're going to leave all of them at $8 like I mentioned. I don't think we need to play with that too much. Oh, I also want to change the colour of that, so let's make that red. Seeing as it's FewK to Atkinson, red buses are a thing of definitely a thing in the UK, and that makes it a little bit more visible to us as well. So I think the final thing is to check the buses on Fewhaven to Harbour line. So we've got 7 there, which again is way too many. Let's drop that down to 5. And I think what we will do, because we know the school bus line is particularly busy during rush hour times at least, not over the middle of the night, but it was before. Let's check. Yeah, it's down to 38% utilization now, so that's a huge fluctuations. Really interesting to see what it looks like at 8 AM, for example. So that's what we'll do. So let's, instead of 5 here, let's up this to 7. I think would be a better choice there. We still do, even though the utilization isn't great, we've still got full buses here, so we must have quite a few popular stops along this route. But there we go, so we can kind of now more clearly see the lines with the blue line. I can't really see the green line very well against the blue there, but that is in here somewhere there. So I think we're utilising a good proportion of the city here and giving them all public transit. We of course have the rail lines as well, and in the interest of a transit audit, let's just take a little look at how they are doing. So we have Intercity 1, which let's label this actually properly, shall we? So this is the one that is running into Gaudy Bay, and that's coming out from, at the moment, is this Funula County up here? It is. Let's rename that appropriately. We only have 1 vehicle on it. It's nowhere near full, so I don't think that's a problem. We've got 29 passengers waiting there, 40 there. The train itself can hold a lot more than that, so I'm kind of content with that one being okay like it is. And then let's go to Intercity 2. So this is the one that is going to be Oregon to Atkinson. So let's label that appropriately. We do actually have 2 vehicles on this one. We have 109 people waiting in Oregon here, which is interesting. Lots of people wanting to get through into Atkinson, it would seem. But yeah, if we go back and just take a little look, the utilisation is absolutely nothing. But there are passengers on both lines. But yeah, these train lines are going to change once we come in and do the downtown. So we're going to have all of the intercity lines connecting into the main downtown hub rather than directly to and from these places. So Atkinson will actually go into the downtown hub probably somewhere. The Gaudy Bay line I think will go out to the town that's going to be near FewK, and then we'll have the intercity lines connecting into the main hub as well. So the train lines will be overhauled much further down the line, because right now I don't think there's any need to. We've got like a nice number of people, I think, using them for the size of our city. We're only at 31,000 population, is it? So we're not huge right now. Yeah, 31,000. So we don't need to touch them too much. So I've waited a little bit. We're at 5:44 in the morning. We're on fast forward and we're going to wait and see how these numbers change and this usage changes. It's already picking up a little bit. So let's just wait a couple of hours and see what happens. Okay, so I just stopped it at 8:30 in the morning because these are actually quite successful, I think. FewHaven to Harbour actually picked up to over 40% and now it's dropped a bit. We did have a point where all 3 of these extra lines were over 200 people using it. This one's now up to 500, so I'm quite happy with that, actually. I think that all the lines are getting utilised reasonably well, even though the percentages on these 2 are a little bit lower. But definitely FewK to Atkinson. So let's have a little look here and oh my oh my goodness. We definitely, I think, need more vehicles. They're not particularly well spaced out at the moment, but I think let's up this to 15 at least. We've got 124, 141, 116, 147 at both of these stops. My goodness, waiting. What's it like at the top here? 94, 64. So let's just have a little look. This is in Gaudy Bay. Hello, everybody, and all of your dogs as well. Yeah, that's a lot of people waiting. I don't know if 3 more buses is really necessarily going to help this, but we'll see how we get on. Where was that other stop? I'm assuming that's somewhere down here towards Gaudy Bay. It must be. Yeah, oh my goodness, look at this. So it would seem that Gaudy Bay has incredibly high demand for bus lines here. Why have we got a CO bus there? I thought I got rid of them all. Let's just have a little check. The Paul Raymond school bus line. I thought I changed that. Clearly not. Yes, there is an awful lot of people. 243? That's at this one here. Oh yeah. Okay, so we definitely want more buses on each of the lines, because that is absolute madness. And now we've hit almost 9:30. The utilisation has actually gone up even further on these. So it says we've got 7 buses here. We have just upped that to 15, so I'm hoping a few more come out, because oh my goodness, we're going to have trouble otherwise. Paul Raymond school bus is still saying 4, but we've upped that to 7. It does say no vehicles, so is that a case of they're just not coming out of here? 26 out of 35, so we have upped it a little bit. Let's try and up our transportation budget. Let's bring this up to 100%. And let's hope this doesn't absolutely murder our hourly budget. We're making a decent amount, so it shouldn't do in this case. But let's have a little look. It might limit it out of even the 35 that we've got, if that is the case. And then we can check and see if we get more buses out. Yeah, we're starting to see more buses coming out now, so hopefully that'll ease up. The utilisation is dropping now. It's reaching 10 o'clock as well, so they're really interesting there. I think what I'm going to do now is detail up our park and ride, and then we can come back at the end of the episode. Hopefully I'll try and stop it around the evening rush hour time, and we'll see what that utilisation is like now that we have a few more buses on each line. Okay, so nearing 5 PM, I'm not sure when the evening rush hour actually happens, we have got 12,388 citizens using our bus lines. And this one had actually spiked up to 700 not that long ago, but it's now coming back down and the others are actually creeping up. But I'm feeling pretty good about the usage. This one fluctuates a fair amount, like it does go quite low like you can see here, but it did get up to over 200, so I think it very much depends on the time of day and who's using it. So I'm actually pretty pleased, I think, with this utilisation. And now if we do have a look at FewCandy to Atkinson, for example, if we look at the stops, this is the busiest one with 73 people here, 23, 30, like it's not outrageous numbers. Now the buses have spaced out a little bit more. I mean, there is still a very big gap between those two buses and a little bit less so between some of the others. So there's potential to have a few more here if we really wanted to. But I'm actually quite content with that. I mean, this has gone up to 80. That's going to keep building. That's going to keep building, in fact. But yeah, I'm kind of content with having 15 buses on that line. I feel like that feels appropriate, at least for it. And the Paul Raymond school bus line does now have 7 vehicles on it, by all accounts. We do still have 68 waiting at 38 Pearl Street over here. Yeah, which is quite a few, but it's not too bad. It's not horrendous. We haven't got 150 people waiting anymore. The Gordy Bay stops, if we come over here, are still fairly busy, but as you can see, it has calmed down a lot versus what it was like earlier. So again, I'm kind of content with this. I feel like we have optimised the public transit a bit more than it was to start off with. So, like I mentioned, this started off at 10,000. We've increased it by 2,500-ish by just reworking some of those lines and adding extensions, obviously, down to Atkinson. Now, the lines over here don't seem to be too bad either, so we have quite a few people waiting at this stop, which is the UK to Atkinson line. Of course, we do have the train station here as well, which is going to be a much quicker option for them to get into Fewhaven, which then the Fewhaven station is of course right next to the bus station here too. And if you look at this, I'm absolutely loving seeing all of these people walk around this area. I think it's fantastic. And we have got a lot of people waiting in the bus station here to get on the buses, but I feel like that's what you'd expect from a town centre bus station, so I'm not too disappointed with that. There's so many people out on the streets in Fewhaven actually. It's really lovely to see. It feels like a bit of the hustle and bustle that we got in Cities 1 is starting to return, at least as we get a bigger city in Cities 2. But anyway, let's revert over to, if I can find it, our little park and ride over here. So I have actually added in a roundabout at this point just to keep that traffic flowing a little bit better up to the junctions either side. And we've got a gas station on the corner because I thought, why not? We should have a highway rest stop really here. I added in a few extra price signs, as you can see, in a few different directions. Keep the advertising up, keep people coming into the little gas station over here. And then we come on down into the main park and ride. So pretty simple really, just some standard car park detailing with our walkways up through these two central bits here. And I have added in invisible paths. People would be able to walk if it was at all busy around here, which clearly it's not. Which is somewhat realistic actually to the park and rides, are not too far away from me. It seems like no one ever uses them, but there we go. Got this little outdoor sitting waiting area over here. Just decorated up some of this with some surfaces, added in some crossing decals. A few extra shelters here as well for people to sit in and wait. A couple of booths for tickets, and then of course we've got our cafe and what I'm calling our little shop/toilet block in the middle here too. We have got some cars here, so there are some people here. Whether they work in the commercial units or not, time will tell. But yeah, hopefully when the city gets a little bit busier, maybe this will pick up, particularly when we start to develop on this side of the map as well. We could potentially add a bus line in from the park and ride over to here, because this is going to be some heavy industry that we're going to come on to fairly soon. But yeah, there we go. We have got our park and ride in, and we've got our new bus lines in. So a bit of a different episode today. Let's check them one last time. Oh, it's up to 12,761. And that's at 6:30 in the evening. Is this any busier? Yeah, you see, even the blue line here has got up to 73% utilisation. Almost 300 passengers actually using that line. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Oh no. Oh no. We do have 88 passengers waiting at this stop over here. That is quite busy. But again, we have got buses waiting here, so I think a bit of time for the buses to recirculate around the route is going to do wonders. I'll try and check in on it at some point in the next episode so we can see. But yes, anyway, bit of a different episode today. I do want to keep paying attention to the management of this city like we have done so far. We're managing education, we're managing transit now, finally. And we're managing service needs, so I'm kind of pleased with that. If we take a little look at the warnings, like there's a few odd ones that pop up over here. These couple of buildings seem to always complain about garbage and whatnot. Oh, we do have a crash actually over here. But in general, it seems like the city's working and functioning pretty well. So I will be alternating between massive, heavy, detailed builds like you've seen in the last 2 episodes, and episodes like you have had today with much more city management and much less building, only our little tiny park and ride to speak of today. But hopefully that balance is a nice one at least. So for today, that is going to be it. If you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. Don't forget to check out Instant Gaming, which is linked in the description below. And there's also links to YouTube membership and Patreon of ways to support the channel where you can get access to the next episode early. But that's all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye!